Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday, March 1st edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin on this show today. We got some earnings still coming through. We're probably going to talk about Ackman and Herbalife are no more. Apparently, we got an overstock SEC investigation that we'll hit on that's being discussed in the chat already today. That's at premarket.benzinga.com if you want to join that chat or join our YouTube chat as well, youtube.com/BenzingaTV. We're dedicating this week's shows to promoting the Benzinga Women's Wealth Forum March 21st in Boston. You can go to bzforum.com, enter the promo code PMP Papa Mary Papa to get a discounted ticket. Again, that's March 21st in Boston. Our guest today, we've got three guests on the docket. First up at 8:15, Raghee Horner. She's a Forex and currency trader for Simpler Forex at 8:35. We are joined by Dale Sperling. She works for Stash Invest. Not sure if any of you guys use a mobile trading solution robo-advisor type service. So if you do or don't, Dale works for Stash. They're incredibly popular in that space. And at 9 o'clock, we are joined by Diana Joseph, Co-CIO and partner at Telemus Capital. Joel, how are we doing this morning in the S&Ps?
Not well, Spencer. Trading in the red by 7.5 handles, 27.07. Your pre-market high, we went up to 27.20 area a few times, 27 to 22.50. That's a big bogey on the upside. Above that, not much until 27.30. On the downside, visiting 2,700 here. Little support at 96.50, but if we really get rocking and rolling to the downside, I'm looking for your 5-day low of 26.82. You have crude backing off now, heading towards $60. Couldn't get through 64. It's down 56 cents at 61.07. Gold moving in on 1,300, down 11.80 at 13.0610. Silver moving in on $16 here, down 19 cents at 16.21. Bitcoin holding in there, up 1.13% at 10,704.80. And a couple things here before we get started this show. One, I just want to thank everybody in the chat here. I mean, you guys are incredible. The flow of information here started, well, I can't believe my Facebook. He gets in here pretty early, sometimes around 5 o'clock before he goes to the gym. John Dotson got in at 4:47 a.m. this morning. Good morning, John. You're about ready for a nap. And just the flow of information here from Ed Seeking, Missile, and Angie, and Dr. J. I mean, Fuzzy, Spinner. I mean, this is great information, and you guys really are doing a fantastic job. Also, I want to ask the chat a question here. And before Dennis left, we made a bet. We made a steak dinner bet, right? And as soon as I made the bet, I knew I was in trouble. The spoons were at 2,700. He took 2,800 on the upside. I took 2,600 on the downside. And we got up to 26.90 or 27.90 earlier in the week. And I'm thinking, I'm dead meat. I'm going to owe him another steak dinner. Now we're back at 2,700. So do I try and scratch the trade here with Dennis and just say, just call off the bet here after taking all that heat? Or are we going to go down, another 100 points to go up another 100 points? So let me know, Chad. I feel it's kind of bad risk reward. I let the trade go way against me, and now it's coming back. I'm looking for a scratch. So if everyone, Angie, baby, do you think we're going to go back up to 2,800? I think that was a high. What was it? Was it this week that we got to 27.89.75? Heck yeah. That wasn't yesterday. That was 2 days ago. So chat, let me know what you think.
All right, let's move on to some of the movers from this morning. And let's start with this news in Overstock, which is that they are cooperating with an SEC investigation related to the company's tokens, right, their ICO. I think to me, this like isn't the worst news, and it kind of reads to me like this is the SEC saying, "Hey, remember us? Like we're still here. We've been asking for months. Where is the SEC and all this crypto madness?" And Overstock, probably the highest profile ICO to date for at least for a public company, and I think this is the SEC just sort of doing their due diligence. I'm not sure how bad this is for the stock, but Overstock OSTK is trading down this morning on this news.
I mean, it's big news, and this thing has really come off its high. Earlier in the year, we hit almost $90, 89.80, and now we're coming down. I mean, I don't know how overall it's going to work out, but look at this. You got a little support coming up here in the pre-market. 52.80, 52.90. Those are a couple lows. You're bouncing up at 54. So that's your support for now. If in fact we take that out, folks, look for a test under $50. Another double bottom at 48.55 and 48.60. If you're looking for a rebound, this thing really needs to get over 56. We have not been able to clear 56 since taking the news. Since you made that low at 52.80, in fact, 55.25 has been the high. So those are your early levels. Pre-market low 52.80, and the rebound high so far has been 55.25.
And again, we don't know anything yet. Obviously, this is just news that the SEC is doing something. But I would wait and see before if I were on this ship, I'd wait and see before I jumped off the ship. This kind of just seems like the SEC.
It's bad news. And weren't they supposed to be able to buy stocks through their coin or something like that? I remember.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not great news, but it seems like it's just some due diligence. So I would wait and see on this before I did anything. Let's move on to some earnings. We got a couple good ones this morning, and let's start with Kohl's. KSS is reporting Q4 adjusted EPS of $1.99.
They like it.
Versus a $1.77 estimate. Net income $468 million versus $252 in the same quarter last year. Sales coming in a little higher as well, 6.77 versus $6.74 billion. Comms up 6%. So beat on the EPS, beat on the sales, and good comms and net income growth year over year for KSS.
Yeah, if you were using, let's see here, yesterday's high as a bogey in this thing, 69.48. Excuse me, that was Tuesday's high. If you were using that as your bogey, you were okay this morning because you got to pop right in that area at 69.50. Now you really have backed off that level by 3 points. So I think the high for the move is in here, or at least the high for the day. Pulling back, we're still green here, trading at 66.80. So I don't know. I don't want to see it go red here. We closed at 66.75, or excuse me, we closed yesterday at 66.09, 65.14 low. So the only word of caution here is, did you guys see Weight Watchers yesterday? Holy mackerel. It opened up at, boom, 76.38, went to $77, made a low at 67.58. So that's why I'm not chasing this one. And, if it gets red on the day, maybe a good short.
All right, let's move on to another big retailer from the morning earnings-wise. Best Buy, BBY, reporting Q4 adjusted EPS $2.42. That's a 38-cent beat on the estimate. $2.04 was the estimate. Sales 15.3 versus 14.5 billion dollars. So good Q4 numbers for Best Buy as far as guidance goes. The fiscal year sales numbers are coming in higher. Fiscal year EPS numbers coming in higher. Q1 sales guidance higher. Q1 EPS guidance a little bit lower. They are raising their dividend from 34 cents to 45 cents per share as well.
Got a nice pop now, 334, trading up at 75.78, up nearly 5%. That's kind of like bad news, I guess, because you got all the way to 77.50 on that headline number. So couple bucks off the high, not quite the high of the move, but this upper 77 hand, I'll just call the 77 handle resistance. Two highs is 77.87, 77.88. but you're still $2 away from there. On the last bar, your high was just at 77. So big gap to fill yesterday, down to 73.93. So if you're, if you're sitting on some profits here, just want to make sure, you don't start to leak, under 75.5. That looks like it's been the low. No, 75.5 is just temporary support. That was your low in your current bracket.
L Brands, sticking with the retail this morning. L Brands reporting yesterday after the bell, Q4 adjusted EPS $2.11 versus a $2.05 estimate, so a good beat there. Sales $4.8 billion versus $4.72 billion. Comps up 2%, so beats on the Q4 numbers. Guidance coming in line. Or actually a little bit light.
What don't they like?
The Q1 EPS guidance was light.
Yeah, and you know another thing about this one is some of the other ones had some nice pops, and this did when it got up to the $60 level, but it's just been leaking, really been struggling this year. And right now, you're back at a critical support area. We're trading at $46, folks. Your recent low on February 6th was $44.38. So get down there anywhere in the 44 handle, looking for some support. Currently trading at 46 even. Looks like buyers and sellers are making 46 their price discovery. But on the downside, keeping an eye on that February 8th low, 44.38.
Let's go to the casino stocks. James in the YouTube chat pointing out that yesterday at around 9:30, we did have the Nevada Gaming Control Board data yesterday. We also have some Macau data. So gaming revenue on the Vegas Strip for January was down a little under 9% for the month. So let's just look at LVS.
Okay, we'll start with LVS here. I mean, I don't follow that data real quick. A lot. I know it does move the stocks.
Why don't you follow it?
I don't, because I don't know. I don't own any casino stocks in my portfolio, so I don't really doesn't mean much to me. LVS has been tight the last couple days. Now you're taking out some support. You're taking out support at the $73 level. Now that will now act as resistance. Your close yesterday also at 72.81. So 73 is your resistance. Coming back on the downside. If this can't catch a bid here, right where we're at now, right at the February 22nd low, 72.48. That's kind of where we're hanging out. I'm looking for a move down to 71.60. That was your February 13th low. And just pull up the daily chart to win, WYNN. Boy, this is looking like a juicy chart here. I mean, we know 160 has just been a major support. You've hit that quite a few times. And now 170 is turning out to be resistance. Last three highs in the issue, 972, 965, and 995. So this thing's winding up 160 to 170. That has been your range since February 9th. And you also had some lows back at 160, 72. So nice looking chart here. Could go anywhere between 160 and 170. Above 170, graded, price appreciation. Below 160, continued downside, maybe a test to 150.
And that Macau data is coming out later today. But
okay.
we have time now for our first break of the day. We're going to grab Raghee Horner from Simpler Forex. She's a Forex trader. She's a and futures trader and currencies. So we'll be right back with Raghee Horner. Welcome back, everyone. Pre-Market Prep, Spencer, Israel, Joel Elconin having a hard time grabbing Raghee Horner, so we're going to just go back to the news of the morning. Joel, can we look at Fox or Fox A? This one is interesting here. I'm not really sure what is happening. Seeing shares of Fox.
We want to bring Brent in on this one.
Brent, Brent. All right, Brent does not want to come on, but shares of Fox A are indicated upward on no news. So there's two tickers here. There's Fox A and there's Fox. Let's look at Fox A for a second here, because shares are indicated. Last I'd seen indicated up, but I don't know if there's any news or anything.
And it's currently halted?
No, it's not halted.
Oh, okay. Searching for news, and there is no news. You did get a pop here just a little bit ago. You went up to 39.28, folks. Very, very light volume. That might just been a whoops trade. I'm not sure, but someone came in 39.14. That was your high on January 30th, your pre-market high. Right there at 39.28. You're kind of leaking, so wait for the news on this. Just be aware, major sellers in the $39 handle. That's been the recent high of the move. And the last 2 days, you had some action there too. 38.87 and 39.14. 36.82 was your close.
All right, let's do Salesforce real fast before, and I just got off the phone with Raghee, so we're going to bring her on the hopper. But before we do that, let's just get Salesforce going.
Salesforce,
CRM reporting a penny beat on the EPS and a sales beat as well for Q4, Q1 adjusted EPS coming in, guidance this is, coming in higher, sales guidance coming in higher as well, and the guidance for the fiscal year was also higher. So higher guidance across the board for CRM.
All right, you're up 383 at $120 or 120.08. That's a new all-time high. The only thing I can really tell you about this one, little bit of opinion here to 121. You had three brackets in a row where you peaked over from 121 to 121 and a quarter. Good volume there, good seller. Now you're backed off to the 120 level. So just take out the all-time high. All-time high was made yesterday at 118.15. You need that for a gap fill. Street kind of leaning the wrong way on this one, 16.22, 16 and a quarter. So get back down to that area. You got a triple close in the 116 handle if we really start to back off.
Let's do one more before we get Raghee on. And I just had a stock that I wanted to go to, and I just forgot what it was. But where was I going to go, Joe? I don't remember where I was going to go.
Monster Beverage?
That's not where, but let's go there.
Mylan
anyway.
Labs?
Let's go. Yeah, it was Mylan. Thank you. Okay, let's go to Mylan. Mylan reported this morning. I'm sorry, yesterday after the bell, did Mylan Q4 adjusted EPS $1.43 versus $1.41, sales 3.24 versus 3.3 billion. So a miss on the Q4 numbers, or a mixed report at least. Guidance wise, coming in line for the fiscal year.
Very, very, very light volume here on the high and the low. So I'm not going to pay much attention to that. We are trading up $1.34 though. Just been in a trading range. The top of that range, 42.46. We're a buck away from that. Several highs, 42.04, 42.16. So seller lurking in the 42 handle. If in fact you get up to that area. The bottom of the trading range, yesterday's low, 40.30. You had a couple other lows right at the $40 level. So I give it down to 40. If it breaks 40, you can see you got some room on the downside. 40 to 42, I think you're good levels there in Mylan Labs.
Let's go to Monster MNST. Monster Beverage reporting yesterday as well. 35 cents versus 37 cents. 810 versus 843 $1 million. So misses on both the EPS and sales for Q4, and they're hitting it on that. That's not good news. That's not good news.
Down 437 here, 59 even. Do we have light volume? They're hitting us on light volume. You did have a double bottom at 61.18 and also 61.15. A couple bucks below that is, now that's going to be resistance. We haven't traded under $60. You have to go back quite a ways here to, November 56 even. You want to hear a quick, good Monster beverage stock story?
Sure, let's do it.
Pull up a monthly.
Okay.
My buddy that I started swimming with when I was like 5 years old, I'm not going to give his name because I don't want to reveal it, but his wife like begged him to buy some Monster beverage stock. And I think this was a long time ago. So he decided to buy like 1,000 shares. And this thing, he just didn't pay any attention to it. And he just let it go, didn't do anything with it. He ended up selling, and then he ended up buying a house. Is that a pretty good story?
He bought a house with off of his Monster trade.
Yes.
You know what that means?
What?
That was a monster trade.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. We need Dennis back. When are we calling Raghee?
We're calling her right now. So
on the hop?
On the hop. So Raghee Horner, she is a trader, Forex trader with Simpler Trading. We're going to get her on the hop here. Let's see if she answers, though. I hope she does. Raghee, there she is. Raghee Horner, you're live on PreMarket Prep this morning.
Oh, fantastic. And I'm sure there's video, and I have no idea what it looks like. So
well, we see
we're good to go.
I see you, so we're good to go. How's it going this morning?
Oh, my gosh. It's been good. I do a morning chat, and I'm in with my crew. So they know I'm on Benzinga with you guys this morning. So
awesome.
We're stoked.
Right.
So what are you watching then this morning?
Right now, I'm watching the U.S. dollar. We're looking at day 2 of Jerome Powell's testimony. So I'm looking for maybe another dollar rip. Hopefully, it's going to stop, moving higher. But this has been what he's been doing to the dollar. He's bringing those bulls out.
Okay. Before we get into the trading and your background and stuff, you got a lot of books up there, Raghee.
Yeah, I don't know how much of my office y'all can see, and I'm sure it's a disaster. I'm not going to move the camera around, but yeah.
You got a lot of books up
books
there. Are those
I do.
Are those trading books or fiction, nonfiction? I mean,
oh gosh, some of them are just sentimental books from. Well, some of them are courses that friends have done, things that I bought, and most of it's just books. I probably read 3 to 5 books a week.
Wow.
No. Yeah.
Okay, but more importantly, how many screens do you have?
Oh, well, I can move the camera and make everybody super dizzy, but I've got 8.
8 screens. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
But screens don't make the trader. I mean, I spent a good bit of time from 2007 to 2008 just running around with a MacBook Air and slaying the markets that way. So single monitor will do it too.
Yeah. You don't need any analysis paralysis, right? With too many screens. Just real quick, a favorite trading book or something that maybe if you're in a little rut, you go and read it again. Reminiscence of a stock operator. Do you have a favorite trading book?
And I'm sure some people can make out what's on the, maybe not, but I have very few trading strategy books on that bookshelf. I've got a book from a dear friend and my partner, John Carter.
Okay.
And I've got Schaubacher's Technical Analysis and Stock Market Profits. But my favorite psychology books have probably got to be Marty Schwartz, Pitbull.
Okay.
And What I Learned Losing $1 Million.
Okay.
One Hand and Paul. Brilliant book about trading psychology.
Okay.
My favorite by far.
All right. So let's get into your background, and you've been at it for a while. So tell us how, what sparked your interest in the market. And then, you mentioned John Carter as a mentor. Any other mentors you like to bring up?
John Carter's my partner. But yeah, I mean, I think my friends are certainly my mentors. No doubt about it. I've been probably trading more options than I have in a while. But you were asking me beyond mentors. What was the question?
How you got involved in the business and following the markets?
Oh, gosh. I'll tell you what. I had and this is a path that I think a lot of people probably take. They know somebody who's in the markets and someone's kind enough to take them under their wing. And that's something that I definitely search out because someone was kind enough to do that to me. I had a dive boat business before I started trading. I leased a boat with a captain, and I would, on the weekend, because I was only allowed to work on the weekend when I was in college, would take people out for dive excursions. I was a certified dive master. And I would skip class one Wednesday a month and come to find out this guy was a bond trader back with the Quotron back in the day. I was hooked, not because I was fascinated by trading, but this guy drove a Porsche and he had the best dive equipment that at the time an 18-year-old had ever seen. I said, whatever this guy is doing, I want to learn.
So
And that was really how it started.
So you could almost say then that you dove into the markets, is what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
He helped me dive into the markets.
I'm on fire today, Joel.
Yeah. I saw a Porsche and dove into the markets.
I think I'm drowning in your jokes here today, Spencer. No, let's. But I think we did. I talked with you a couple weeks ago about the event and everything, and your mom had an influence on you too, didn't she?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's always a ramp up. My father passed away when I was 15, just after my 15th birthday. And my mom basically realized she had to raise 2 children. She was a mother. She was a housewife. And she realized she better learn this financial stuff really quick. And she had mentors as well. What she did not realize with the small grub stake that she had, she was 4 years younger than I am right now with 2 kids. And she realized the markets were going to be her way to, one, raising us, getting us through college, and creating a retirement for herself when she wasn't in the workforce. And she figured out, really not even knowing what she was doing, how to market time. And she was involved in the markets in a way that I don't think she'd consider herself a trader. But when I look back on her entry, what she purchased, whether back then it was mutual funds, the way she'd purchased, she was absolutely a market timer. And watching her take a small grub stake from after my father passed into, what was a considerable amount really impressed something upon me, for sure.
Wow, that's a great story. So let's just get into, what you trade, what your strategies are, some of your do's and the don'ts. And then you mentioned that, you've got a little attracted to options trading here. I mean, volatility's back. It's, there's some nice plays there. So talk about your day-to-day strategies.
Sure. I'm a trend follower. And if I had my way, having started with end-of-day charts, I encourage everybody, even if for a week, humor me, put the computer aside, grab a pen and paper and some graph paper and chart your own end-of-day markets. You get a kinesthetic feel for what price action does in a way that I think I can't replace that. I was an end of day manual chartist for at least the first 2 years of my career, going back to about 87, 88, 89. And then, of course, we got spoiled by technology, which is great. But I think the simplicity of indicators, the simplicity of following a trend and really studying price, for me, old school, came from there. I have a trio of indicators that I've made free for my entire career, and they're really designed to color code and show what the trend is. They're called TOPS. It's kind of an acronym that was an inside joke called the Truly Obnoxious Profit System, because that's what I think trend trading is. If we can follow the psychology that's dominant in the market, know when it's actually clear and know when it's not. And this is on any time frame. This could be weekly, this could be daily, this could be on a 5-minute. If I can follow a trend, I'm on the flow of the river, path of least resistance, pick your analogy. But that's what I'm looking for all the time. Let me interrupt you. Day trading for me, by the way, just becomes trend following intraday. I mean, we did it in the room yesterday. We just shorted the heck out of the NQ and the YM because that was the trend. It just happened to be on a 3-minute chart.
On a 3-minute chart. These indicators, is there a particular platform that they're on? Did you design them? Can you put them on any platform? Because I spent some time, doing some different analysis indicators and trading systems. Are you a programmer too, or what platform are you using them on?
I can stumble my way through some programming. I probably should pay more attention, but I've got people that are 2 feet smarter than me that take care of it. I've got a couple programmers. I have the indicators available on TradeStation. In fact, if people go to TradeStation, they're available free in the trading app store. They're actually the top 1, 2, and 3 most popular indicators. And as a young trader who back in the day, and you might remember this, Spencer, I don't know, but super charts. You guys remember super charts? I don't know how many of the audience remember back in the day TradeStation super charts. To have started then and thinking I'm a really professional trader now because I've got a legit charting platform. So I'm dating myself, but to see those indicators in the App Store and they're so popular, just tickles me. They're available on TradeStation, TradingView, Thinkorswim, or getting them on the MT4 platform for Forex. So I'm just making my way down a list. Yes.
Wow, you use them. Okay. Any words of advice here for young women that are listening want to get involved in finance. And I guess your advice could go to males as well. But any comments on that?
I'll tell you what, I have found by and large, and my crew is live with me on the mic here too. And so the guys may groan a little bit, but then they admit it's true. I have found that mentoring and teaching women is quicker and more effective because and I think about my mother. My mom makes amazing Indian food. If I want to know how to make her beef Rogan Josh, I follow her recipe. I know it takes. In fact, I want to even use the same ladle and pot that she is using, because I want to replicate what I know led to a good result. And I find by and large, women tend to do that. Okay, this worked for you. Great. Let me know every step of what you've done, down to the pot you cook this thing in, and I will follow that. So in terms of what I think is very important for anybody to learn, one, follow one cook. That was something I was very lucky to not try to mix, this recipe with that recipe. And I think in the very early stages, follow the trend and follow it on longer term timeframes. And one of the things that I teach is to use an expected price movement range tool. I find that if there is a problem and I can address it very quickly, it's something like this. Use an understanding of the volatility the market typically gives you. There's a great free resource out there at autochartist.com. Sign up for it. You get it free for a couple of weeks. I don't have any vested interest in them. They're the only ones that have this information. And after that, it just downgrades to a delayed version. What I want them to do is understand volatility, because I'm finding more so now than ever, stop placement is smothering the heck out of your trading. You're smothering your trades and you're not understanding the ebb and flow that you need to allow for those big trend follows. I think back on my 1200 pip trade in the euro last year. Had I not been trailing that stop and leaving it alone, there's no way I could have done it.
All right, we've been on with Raghee Horner. Simplerforex.com is where you can learn more and read about her trades and learn more. Raghee, thanks so much for the time.
Guys, thank you so much. Always enjoy the time with you.
All right,
appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick break and grab our next guest. We'll be right back with Dale Sperling. Welcome back, everyone, to Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin. We are now joined by our second guest, which you can see on the screen now, Dale Sperling. She is the CMO of Stash Invest. Dale, how's it going today?
It's great. How are you guys?
Doing well. I think, Dale, you might be the first person we've ever had from any mobile trading platform ever on our show. So tell us a little bit about what Stash Invest does for those people in our chat or listeners who don't know.
Yeah, great. So Stash makes it simple and affordable for everyone to save and invest. Anyone with just $5 can sign up and start. And we provide guidance and education to our clients, almost 2 million of them now, so that they can learn to do it themselves and really better their financial lives. It's pretty simple.
So it's a mobile investing solution, essentially. It's an app, right?
We are an app, but we have web access,
Okay.
so it's not mobile only.
Okay.
But we are mobile first, and we do really focus on creating a accessible and flexible platform for a new generation of investors.
The people that you're targeting, these are people with a longer time horizon, correct?
Yes, that's the ideal client, someone who really believes in investing for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to get people who are looking for short-term gains, but we really encourage people to buy and hold, to invest in small increments. We're probably the only financial advisor who would say, if you have a lump sum of $100, don't invest it all right now. Put it in small increments, and we try and educate people about dollar cost averaging, the power of long-term horizons. So, long-term investors welcome.
So then, what draws people to Stash? Obviously, if they're a long-term buy and hold, that's what you're encouraging. But what else draws them to the platform as opposed to any other brokerage?
Yeah, so 86% of our investors are first-time investors, and we're enabling them to do it themselves and learn because we provide so much guidance and education. We've invested a lot in education and really creating that accessible platform. And we let people buy in fractional shares. So, a share of Amazon is $1,400. You can buy just $5 of Amazon on Stash. We have a curated selection of ETFs and stocks that people can buy. So it's very accessible and relatable. And we've taken all the jargon out of it, so anyone can really understand how to do it. Anyone should be doing it. Everybody should be doing it. It shouldn't be hard.
Right.
All right. My first question to you is, what do you got hanging up back there? Is that a map of the United States, or
can you? I'll give you up and down.
That's just a picture of New York, but
it's a picture of New York. Okay.
We just lost you on video, Dale, but we still got you on the call.
No.
Can you tell us a little bit about? There we go. Tell us a little bit about your background. Do you did you have an interest in the capital markets before this, or how did you get into this game?
Yeah, so I actually graduated long time ago now, plus 20 years, and I got my start in digital marketing. I graduated with a business management degree. I was not interested in finance. Actually, I kind of wanted to be a teacher, but my desire to make some money took me into marketing, and I just gone through a bunch of different roles where I've learned about all different industries and really integrated marketing and acquisition and retention and all those fun things. And now I found myself at a startup, a fintech startup. And what's made it accessible for me is that it's not complicated. We're trying to make something very complicated easy. And so you don't have to have a finance degree to be able to do what I'm doing.
Stash has been around since 2015. Have you been there since the beginning or close to it?
Yep.
Okay. So you've been there pretty much since the beginning of Stash, 3 years ago now. Talk to us about how the company is, what's driven your growth in 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't always as fast as it is now. When we got started, we really had to figure out that messaging and the product market fit. And what we quickly realized was that following a path of making things simplicity was really the best path to growth. We are the fastest growing fintech investing platform. Not in total absolute numbers right now, but in our trajectory of growth. It's really exciting. And we've learned really early on that empowering people to do it themselves and giving them the opportunity for ownership and to be a shareholder with whatever money they have is super empowering and super meaningful. And so there's 109 million people out there that aren't investing. There's tons of underserved people out there that are being taken advantage of, and Stash has really been able to connect with them in a meaningful, authentic way. And we've flourished from there, really. We're just embracing that and trying to provide the best service and the most valuable service for our customers so that they can better themselves.
I know you guys are always constantly working to improve the platform. And is there anything on the horizon? Maybe give us a little sneak preview of what's coming up.
Yeah, so just this week, we actually launched single stocks on Stash. And that's been exciting to give people access to invest in companies specifically and not necessarily ETFs that they're passionate about. And we're working on building out amazing banking services so that we can help our customers save more so that they can invest more. We're really focused on lowering fees. Actually, we'll have no fees for our banking service. And providing that true value for our customers so that they can keep more of their money and then invest it and do more with their money.
So what's the biggest thing you've learned about Stash's client base? In the last since growth has picked up in the last year or two, even what have you learned about what they want, what these presumably younger first time investors, and what do they want out of their portfolios?
It's really encouraging to learn that they really do want long-term growth. They want to feel connected to their investments. They want that power to choose. 39% of our client base is female, which is really exciting. And the average funded user is about 32. So these are young people. They're a diverse set of investors, and they just want to be connected. They're learning about their investments and how their investments interact with the market and the economy and the world, and that's powerful to them. To be able to sit at a table, we've gotten feedback from our investors that they're now sitting at Thanksgiving or with their family, and they're able to talk to them about investments and finance and the markets, and that conversation was not accessible to them prior.
Question coming out of the chat here from Joe C. Does Stash allow IRA or Roth accounts?
Great question, Joe C. Thank you. We do actually have Roth and traditional IRAs, and that's available to all our investors that have connected their bank account through a sign-on process.
All right, and just get into a little bit about women in finance. You also touch on the importance of education. Any good story or from a female mentor? Anything you'd like to add along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, bringing this around to like women and their personal goals and careers and getting into finance. I mean, women should know that finance in general and access to financial platforms and financial education is there. It's being presented in ways that are meaningful for women, that give them a lot of choice and decision. I think, there's two ways to look at this. There's, as the consumer and having access. And then there's, the conversation we have about women in general in finance, like myself. And I think there's growing opportunity for women like myself to further their careers in finance, specifically now with all this increased media coverage that's exposed a lot of the inequalities and challenges that women face in their careers. It's created so much opportunity because, boards and C-suites and HR teams have challenged themselves to create more gender diversity in their companies. And so I encourage women to take advantage of that. That's opportunity. Be a risk taker, have courage, be resilient, learn to identify opportunity and, better manage ambiguity. And there's so much there to be had as a woman with her career in finance and fintech. And then those principles apply to just women who are looking to better their financial lives in general.
Yeah, great points. And I love that New York City soundtrack in the background there. Dale will be at the Benzinga Women's Wealth Forum March 21st in Boston. Dale, we look forward to you coming to our event. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Great. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. What time is it now? 8:46. And so where are we at, Joel, in the S&Ps?
We come back. I guess, those jobless claims numbers, they kind of liked here. So we got off the mat. We did just trade up. Did we go green there? Yeah, we went green by just a couple ticks. Your close, your 415 close was a little bit weak, and where we closed at 1450. You had an after hours print of 1875. Someone goosed it a little bit after that big sell off, covering some shorts. So right now, level control is at that closing price of 2714.50.
All right, let's go to some questions. Were there any questions in the chat that we didn't get to earlier? I don't think so. I think if you have questions in the chat, let us know. We have a guest coming up at 9, but we got, some pretty free time. Until then, let's go to AMC. They reported earnings. I saw that one mentioned in the chat earlier. AMC X is the ticker, AMC Network. So there's two AMC stocks. AMC X is the one reporting today. Q4 adjusted EPS $1.68 versus $1.49. Estimate sales of 727 versus $730 million. So a mixed report there for AMCX. This is AMC Networks. This is not the movie theater. This is the cable network.
There's some big resistance here. $54. That stopped a rally. In late January, $53.95. Then you've knocked on the door. $54.01. That was your high in the 21st. And then a double top from Tuesday and Wednesday, $53.96, $54. That is your super extra major resistance. So if you get a rally mode, keep an eye on that. Coming back on the downside, we're trading in the red here. I don't see less than 1,000 shares. I did have one big print, but that might have been the closing print or off exchange print at 52.57. On the downside here, though, got to keep an eye on 51.21, 51.19. Those were your two lows back on the 22nd and 23rd. And another low just in that area, 51.36. So 51.50 is your major support. Update on Monster here. We did go over that. We did go over the numbers. Still just kind of hanging out here, 58.60. Not a lot of trades are going on. A couple thousand shares have traded. So little price discovery still going on in Monster.
Really unfortunate, Dennis. Dennis is out this week because we got his stock reporting yesterday. Triple D 3D Systems reported a Q4 adjusted, they gave guidance yesterday. They see their Q4 adjusted EPS at 3 cents to 5 cents versus a 1 cent estimate, and their fiscal year EPS and sales guidance is coming in higher. So Triple D with some guidance out yesterday.
Triple D is taking Spencer solo to the Magic Kingdom today. They're the baby.
You mean Dennis and his son, not me and the stock, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Okay. Just making sure. Yeah. Dennis is taking his son Spencer
to
solo. Oh boy.
Yeah. That should be an event. I asked him to come on at 8 to discuss our bet a little bit, and he said Spencer was too loud. So I wanted to get him on for a few minutes. If you guys have been paying attention to Spinner in the chat here, he's been pounding the table on this stock and took a little heat yesterday. So I hope he used that as a buying opportunity because really was trying to break out at 1050 and just had a bad day yesterday. People getting out ahead of the report, closed just off its low, 943 close. 950, and now you're over this. I mentioned 1057. That'd been the highest of several highs that you've had, and now you've cleared it, and now you're in $11 handle, and it's holding in there, folks. I'd still like to see it, hold 11 off the open. We'll have to see when the real liquidity comes in, but up 16%, $1.52. At this point, it's not losing $11. You did get up to 1140 on that headline right when that report came out. So that area has been protected, and you had another spike high up to 1180 on January 16th. But man, oh man, still like to see it hold 11, and that's what it's doing as we speak.
Novavax, NVAX, I think this stock has the highest volume of any stock this morning, at least that I'm seeing. They had positive data out yesterday after the bell on their flu vaccine. So really, really ripping this morning.
Flu vaccine was not good this year.
A lot of volume, a lot of volume here in NVAX. Let me see if I can find the exact headline here. They had improved immune responses compared to the egg-based high-dose flu vaccine. So Novavax's NanoFlu showed improved comparatively to what we have now, improved responses. NVAX ripping.
Yeah, it is. It's up nearly 28% at 277.60, hanging out near the highs of the session. 289 was your high back just in the last bracket here. Big resistance up at that area, or we actually were above it. 260 had capped the rallies here, going all the way back to September of 2016. That was a real bad month from it. Went from 684 to 208. So, if you're hopping on this thing and you're shorting it, just because it's up a lot percentage, not a lot to lean on here. Just nice rally. Let's just see if it can get through the pre-market high. Pre-market high, as I mentioned, is 289, and there's some good volume being thrown around in this stock.
I want to drop in now on the steel stocks. Let's start with AKS because Trump is expected today. He's expected to meet with steel and aluminum executives. And it is, according to a firm that we've relied on in the past, Height Securities, it's unlikely to result in a finalized tariff proposal, but the headlines from the meeting could be positive for steel names. AK Steel is up about last I checked, 7% this morning.
These stocks have had a nice boost. This one is peeled back a little bit. It is trading up 38 cents at $5.54. 3-4 highs. I mean, you had the high of the move a while back. I think that was Wilbur Ross said something about tariffs at 614. So that's a potential target. A couple pesky highs are around 585, 580 up to 6 even. So still got a ways to test those levels. Axe has been holding on. I mean, you did have that run up over $46. High the move 46.82. Real good support in the 42 hand, just under $43. Trio of lows from 42.56 to 42.85. Trading up just at the highs of the pre-market session. 45.37 is where we're closing. Ahead of that 46.82 high, 45.75. That is your 3-day high. Looks like it's going to come into play in today's session.
Question from the YouTube chat. Joel, do you have an opinion on the effect that the 10-year has on volatility?
Man. I mean, no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't have a direct. I mean,
Okay.
Obviously everyone's watching interest rates, right? So this is all tied to interest rates. And we've talked about, what number is really going to spook the market. And then you get these data numbers that show a little bit weak. I mean, Michelle Snyder, mentioned yesterday that, some of the, a recession. I mean, who knows where rates are going? I think that the rates are going to have to go up a lot more to really spook this market. So that's pretty much my overall opinion on interest rates, the 10-year.
Let's hop over to the auto stocks. We had Michelle Krebs on the show yesterday previewing auto sales. February auto sales will be announced today. I think it's usually like 9:15, 9:30. I think so. So I put up GM here on the screen. Let's just run through the gamut of what these guys are doing ahead of the auto sales report.
Well, let's just look at GM, and been kind of quiet lately, but had a real bad few days ahead of this. And now we're back under $40, closed near its low yesterday, 39.32, 39.35. So you want to see you want to see that hold, because that also was your February 25th low of 39.5. So this better giddy up real quick. Could see some more downside in it. Finally filling. It's got some gaps to fill, and there's an important one to fill here, and it actually did at 39.54.
And that was in GE. Can we look at Ford?
Ford's had some hard time too here since its last report. Just hanging out in the $10 handle. You had 3 lows in February, 10.19 to 10.24. 40 cents away from there. But I think you have to find support, even if you get in the lower $10 handle, then I'm sure you have some huge institutional buy orders right at 10 even. But I know they're kind of thinking Ford's maybe a little bit behind the 8 ball here on the whole electronic vehicle transformation. So nice yield, but boy, oh boy, his stock's certainly not going anywhere.
Okay, 8:57. We got a couple minutes before our final guest of the day. That's Diana Joseph from Telemus Capital. Spin on the chat noting that jobless claims are the lowest in 49 years at 210,000 for jobless claims for the week. We'll get the jobs number next Friday. But good point there, Spinner. Anything particular, Joel, that you wanted to get to before we get to our last guest?
Just S&Ps have gone green now, up $1 here, 27.1550. So well off the pre-market high. Just want to get through that 27.2250. It challenged that at 6 o'clock last night and also challenged it early this morning.
Looking at ratings real quickly, there's not a ton that, there's some analysts that are, chasing price after earnings. I did see that Piper had downgraded Camel Soup, just reported, right? A couple days ago.
Yeah, a week or so ago.
Yeah,
yep.
So Piper downgraded Camel Soup off that. So a lot of the earnings from this morning at least are just kind of chasing. We have an upgrade to Macy's. Nothing significant though there. Bank of America upgrading Toyota. I think that's interesting. Bank of America upgrading Toyota Motors TM to neutral from underperform this morning. I thought that was notable ahead of the auto sales number. That's really it, though.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the Macy's chart here for a second. Big range that you had on earnings day, and then just kind of a quiet day yesterday. A strong day added $1 from a close at 28.40. 29.89. So it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a digestion period here after the earnings report before we make our next move. So looking for a little bit of consolidation in Macy's.
All right, we're going to take our last break of the day and grab Diana Joseph, the Co-CIO and partner and senior advisor at Telemus Capital. We'll be right back with Diana. Welcome back, everyone, to Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin. We're now joined by Diana Joseph, the Co-CIO, the partner and senior advisor at Telemus Capital. Diana, how's it going today?
Really well, and I'm so happy to be on your show.
Thank you. We're happy that you were able to join us. So you have a lot of different titles. Co-CIO, partner, senior advisor. What exactly is your role at Telemus?
I am the co-chief investment officer. So I work closely with David Post, my co-chief investment officer, to organize the asset allocation and underlying investments that we utilize for our clients. And as a partner, it just means that I'm an owner of the firm as well. And senior life advisor refers to the business of the whole firm, where over time, just like Benzinga, might not have been around 10 years ago because of technology and people's needs. The same way that money management went from being a straight focused thing like performing in all cap value to being helping people with their financial lives. And it's become so much more complicated with so many different kind of people. Telemus Capital is really a firm that does all whole life financial life advising, but we do have investment expertise as well.
Okay, so tell us a little bit then about what your market routine is on a daily basis. Like you wake up, maybe you check your phone or you get to the office, but what is your market routine like?
Well, keep in mind that what we do is we have to be ready by the time we get to the office. So I actually have CNBC or Bloomberg on while I'm showering and getting dressed. I take the train to work and I read the Wall Street Journal. Recently, having discovered Benzinga, since my office is in Chicago and I wasn't aware until I merged with Telemus of you, I've added Benzinga to my morning routine because I love seeing some of the more in-depth pieces that you have. So by the time I get to the office, I'm aware of what's going on in the world markets, not just the markets here, what the pre-open will probably look like. And then I can turn my attention to the daily tasks of reviewing our portfolios, reviewing our asset allocations.
So by the time you get to the office, you know what happened overnight. Are you looking at all markets or any markets that you look at more than others?
Yeah, we really do global reviews.
Okay.
And the reason we do that is because we operate top down and then bottom up. So really difficult to analyze United States stocks without knowing what happened overnight with international stocks because the correlations are pretty high. So while knowing everything that happened gives us a special insight into what we can expect from our markets in different components. There's a very high correlation these days, not as much in the global bond markets with respect to interest rates, but certainly with global stocks. So it's very unusual to see global stock markets close down 4 or 5% and our markets open up. So yes, it's very important to get a handle on that, both for our long-term investment allocations and our short-term analysis. Everything affects everything else.
Everything affects everything. That's a great way of putting it. Are you looking at charts?
Yeah, well, we do. We're fundamental investors. So
Okay.
Let me take a step back here. We do asset allocations for people. It's like making a fine gravy. You put in a little of this and you put in a little of that. And the goal is to arrive at this wonderful flavor. Well, the same thing for creating a portfolio. So it's not just about a stock or a bond or alternatives or real estate. It's about putting together a portfolio that's going to get somebody where they need to go. So that's the top down. Very important to have long-term views on that. We put out a quarterly piece that's very in-depth and chart books that talk about the long term. Because if you don't have the capital P word, perspective, then you don't know how to process information. And so perspective, standing back, catching a breath. You had a great person on 2 days ago who was talking about how much she learned, an individual investor, and that you had to have ice in your veins. And this is kind of the same thing. You have to stand back and see where these things are occurring and what they actually mean instead of being jolted by every piece of news. So we look at the global, we develop long-term opinions, which change over time as the data comes in. That is the framework for our asset allocations. Then use the same data to analyze industries and sectors for our stocks that we have in our portfolios, and we manage a number of different portfolios as well as use outside managers, and a number of different kinds of bond portfolios. Where studying the company actually gives us a 2-for-1, right? If you're going to own Apple stock and own Apple bonds, then all you have to do is analyze Apple one time. So it's pretty efficient.
Yeah, that was, I believe that was Nicola Duke who made the ice in your veins comment. So how, people come to Telemus and, for asset allocation, and obviously one of the biggest questions you have to answer for them is what is your risk appetite? But how do you help people determine, and this kind of goes for trading and investing, everyone knows, trade and invest in line with your risk appetite, but how do you figure out what your risk appetite even is?
That's a good question. And before I answer, let me step back, and you had asked me about charts. So we do get very involved in charting after we're done with the fundamentals and we know we want to own something, in using charts to help us decide on an entry point. So we think charting is really important. We just use it as an entry point, right, or an exit point helper. Okay. And how do we help people? Well, really, this is about anchoring people in their own psychology. And while I have business and law degrees, I don't have a psychology degree. So I've learned this over a long period of time. It's not about how much money you want to make. It's about how much money you can afford to lose, because most of our clients are not 20. Most of our clients are older than that to have amassed enough wealth for us to be helping them. So people really need to get that. And many people do now. People are a lot more realistic than they used to be. And what do I mean? Here's how the math works. If you lose 50%, you have to make 100% to get even. That's really bad math for somebody who's getting ready to retire, right? Because how do you know that the next down market is only going to last 6 months? It might last 10 years like they usually do. So once people have that understanding, then we're able to sit down with them and say, really in depth, one-on-one. We gather all their needs. We have extensive financial planning programs. So we're goals-based. Some people want to have a simpler lifestyle, but they want to give more to charity. Everybody's goals are different, and nobody's goals are right or wrong. They're their own goals. So we take a lot of time making sure we understand people's goals. We take a lot of time saving for those buckets and planning for them. Then we create a target sample portfolio designed not to not grow. There's pieces in there that are all stock or all alternatives or all bonds, but each piece has a purpose. And where we think that people really go wrong sometimes is thinking that the purpose of everything is to go up a lot, because that's not true. If it can go up a lot, it can go down a lot. And then this losing 50% and needing 100% to come back to even is not going to work for them. So it's really, we help them understand and outline their needs and goals. And then we help create the buckets that are designed to get there. So bonds are not very exciting. And it's true when rates rise that the value can fall. But if you have good bonds, you do get paid back. And that's different than a stock. There's no guarantee, number one. And number two, typically volatility for bonds is a lot less unless you're in junk bonds than it is for stocks. So bonds have a place in everybody's portfolio, whether it's as an anchor to windward only, as a place to hold cash. And I guess finally, the really important thing besides perspective is discipline. So every one of our strategies, we are taking pieces off the table as the position, whether it's a stock or bond or alternative, gets close to our target price. And we have no regrets if they keep going up. Similarly, if things become undervalued, we're adding. And that way, if you do that all the time, though, you can't cheat. If you end up selling into strength and buying into weakness, and over a long period of time, that's a great way to add value.
We're on the line with Diana Joseph from Telemus Partners, Co-CIO, Partners Senior Advisor. We just are talking about the Women's Week in the forum, and when we chatted with you a few days ago, you had an interesting, start to your career and whatnot. So, we would just like to go into that a little bit and perhaps some words of advice for women who want to get involved in finance, Phil.
Sure, Joel. So, I was really fortunate. My dad sold his business and he was a lot older, and I got involved in investing the proceeds with him. And he was very supportive of me. And you have to remember, that was in the early 70s. And while I know sometimes women chase at kind of what's going on or if there's still inequity, and I'm not an apologist for that, everybody needs to remember. So I'm almost 60. So so I have that long memory. We weren't able to vote 100 years ago. We're making some pretty fast progress, and it's really important to have that positive attitude and hopefully to have someone to support you. So my dad was my biggest supporter and cheerleader, and he told me I could do anything. And I was dumb enough to believe it. And so I had this kind of moving forward attitude. No matter what, I just wanted to contribute to my teams that I worked with and to be right and to win. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is attitude's really a big piece of this too. At a double major, finance and management in college, I got a law degree. I had worked with my father managing this money. I established an independent track record because I didn't think people would take me seriously without actual numbers. And after 5 years of practicing law at a great firm that I still have a great relationship with, I began managing money. And I've been at a couple of firms in my career, manage a lot of strategies, manage managers for very large families. And I've seen not just the financial business, but the law business change over time because at the time I went to law school, even though there were hardly any women partners in law, the class was 50% women. So this was the change time. And I think both law and finance are great businesses for women. And the reason is because your success is measurable. So just in case you run into somebody who isn't taking you seriously enough, if you're a portfolio manager or an analyst and you have really good performance, kind of hard to argue with that. The numbers are the numbers. In the same token, if you're very successful at helping people, your revenue tends to increase because people refer you because you make a huge difference in their financial life. Those numbers are trackable too. Law works pretty much the same way. How many trials did you win? So I think these are great professions for women, and I think there's a lot of opportunity, and also there's independent verification of your ability, and sometimes that's really an important thing.
I thought it's interesting that you said you had an your own independent, like a side track record, that because you didn't think people would you thought it would help your case. So did you just like print out, your like proof of like investment? Like how did you do that?
Well, that's a really great question. So in this business, there are standards for performance, as if you were to look at a mutual fund's performance, those are governed by SEC regulations. Back then, it was the Bank Analyst Institute, which then the BAI, which then became the AIMR standards and are now the GIP standards. So no, what you really can do is apply those standards to it's not just your track record, it's to also the operational aspect of how you keep your records and the likelihood of them being correct. So there's all different ways you can, and in firms, that money management firms, of course, we try to do that. So we try to compile, a whole composite of accounts that are similarly situated. So there's plenty of ways of doing this. And in this business, if you're actually managing money professionally, it's almost always done with a certain level of rigor that people can rely on.
All right, last question here, Diana, and I'll let you run. But is there a specific sector or asset class that you're watching more closely or particularly bullish on at the moment?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I would say that I perceive overall valuations to be pretty fully valued, both equities, fixed income. There are some alternative asset classes that are a little bit interesting only if we have a little bit more inflation. So it's really, for us right now, it's really about thing by thing. So any company can have a bad time, and we have so much more volatility. I guess what I'd say to people is let the volatility work for you. There's a lot of computers doing trading, and they all kind of do the same thing. So you can see markets go up really fast or down really fast when actually the fundamentals haven't changed at all. I would say that you should use that for yourself. We do, because you're trading against computers. They're not even people. So use the volatility.
All right. Diana Joseph has been on the line with us. She is the Co-CIO, partner and senior advisor at Telemus. Diana, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It was fun.
Right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, 9:15. Any final levels before we go away for the day?
We've battled back here. Nice rally during the pre-market show. Up 2.25 at 1675. That 2250 area, I'll be keeping an eye on that today. That was your high right at that 6 p.m. open, and then they tried to get it up there, or they did get it up there about 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, and failed there. So we'll see if we get another crack. That's still 6 handles away. John Dotson is bringing to our attention Best Buy. Best sell. I mean, that thing, since we started the show and we at 8 o'clock, this thing is really giving back a lot of ground and big volume. I mean, it's getting up near the highs of the move. Look at the 77 handle and seeing some profit taking. So let's see if it goes red on the session. Look for a big reversal. This thing is really moving. All right. And I'm glad you guys are liking the guest, man. We we did a lot of research and tried to bring a lot of people on, and man, it's been fun. I mean, we may just have to stick with this, you know.
Well, I mean, we always have good guests, but we've had some good guests. A lot of the new guests we've had this week.
How many new ones have we had?
Diana. How many new ones have we had?
Diana, Dale.
Well, actually, at the moment, I think we've only had 2 new guests, but tomorrow is a crazy day. Tomorrow,
what do we got going on tomorrow, Spencer?
Oh my gosh. Tomorrow we have 5 guests coming on the show. We have 8:15, 8:35, 9, 9:15, 9:30. So we're going after the open tomorrow. We've got Tracy Roniak. We've had her on before.
She's good.
Christy Ross from Tasty Trade. We've got actually Samantha Leduc is sick,
she's sick.
We'll have her on next week. Christina Chi, she works for Domeyard. They're a quant fund.
She is fun to talk to.
I can already tell the fact that she works at a quant fund means she's way smarter than you and me. And then Sunena Tutea will join us at 9:30. She works with TD Ameritrade. So we've got a full slate on the docket tomorrow's show. But if you want to catch any part of today's show again, you know where to go. The podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher, or youtube.com/Benzinga TV. Thanks to our guests who joined us today at premarket.benzinga.com. Again, before I let you go, I want to remind you about the Benzinga Women's Wealth Forum, March 21st in Boston. bzforum.com is the URL. If you enter the promo code PMP Papa, Mary Papa, you can get a discounted ticket to the event. Again, that's March 21st in Boston. Thanks so much for everyone who joined us today, both in our pre-market chat and on YouTube. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, and we will see you folks on Friday.